Welcome into the Friday edition of Palmetto Sports Daily. I'm Kevin Bilodeau in Charleston, and the gang all here this afternoon. Rick Henry in Columbia, Tegan Brown in Myrtle Beach, and Carmine Jammet, fresh off his conviction of just terrible food choices at the Masters, still joins us here from the upstate in Greenville this afternoon. Now, day one of the NFL draft is in the books, and we had some huge picks, some Clemson guys going, and especially here in the Low Country, Monroe Freeling, the Oceanside Collegiate alum and former Georgia offensive tackle, taken in the first round as was expected. And he's not going to have to go too far to kick off his pro career. Freeling drafted with the 19th overall pick of the first round by the Carolina Panthers. Here he is arriving in Charlotte today. Big crowd on hand to bring in their newest #1 draft pick, their newest offensive tackle. Freeling extremely excited last night that he's going to be staying close to home, and he's going to be taking on a team that went to the playoffs last year and has a chance to take another big step coming up this coming season.
I've had some feedback from my agent telling me that, like, if I was still there, they would take me. But, I mean, you got to take everything with a grain of salt because, I didn't know how this night was going to go. And I tried to get every expectation out of my mind. And when it finally came down to it and I was sitting there, and I think Detroit was still on the clock, and I got a call and I was like, hold on, let me pick this up. And this is like, hey, this is the Carolina Panthers. And I was like, no way. There's just no way. And I was just like, it was surreal. And it's still surreal. And I don't even know if it's sitting quite yet that I'm staying home, and I'm only a 3-hour drive from home, and it's closer than I was in Athens, so it's still not really setting in yet.
Freeling watched the draft over on the Isle of Palms along with his family, a few close friends as well. So congratulations to him. Huge day. Then, like I said, being able to stay close to home is a big deal for him as well. So Monroe Freeling, the newest member of the Carolina Panthers. And Carmine, you were at a draft party last night as well.
I was for Peter Woods, and first I want to talk about another offensive tackle selected just a couple picks before Freeling, which was Clemson offensive tackle Blake Miller, and we have some video of the Iron Man of Clemson football. This guy made 54 consecutive starts at Clemson. That's the most ever for a non-specialist, meaning a kicker, punter, or holder. So he's basically, like I said, the Iron Man, and he got picked to the Rust Belt team, the Detroit Lions, with the 17th overall selection for the offensive tackle. Highest drafted Clemson offensive lineman since 1960. So the highest drafted of the entire modern draft era. Played nearly 3,800 snaps at Clemson. So incredible and great get for the Detroit Lions. And then, Kevin, you mentioned the draft party I was at for Peter Woods, the All-American defensive tackle from Alabama, but then, of course, becoming, like I said, an All-American at Clemson, almost 100 tackles this past season. And he also had 2 rushing touchdowns, doing his best impersonation of another Clemson legend, William the Refrigerator Perry. So he was picked 29th overall by the Kansas City Chiefs, which of course have won those 3 Super Bowls recently. So pretty good to go from winning high school state championships, conference championship in college, and a college football playoff berth at Clemson, and then now maybe a Super Bowl title over there with Kansas City. So it was getting a little tense at his white party that he was hosting at the Maserati dealership in Atlanta with about 150 special guests. So I caught up with Peter and his mother after reaching the NFL dream, and also a special surprise gift for the family. Peter Woods' name was just called as the 29th overall pick in the NFL draft to the Kansas City Chiefs, and I think everybody here is very excited about it. Oh, yeah. At the Maserati dealership, Jim Ellis Maserati here in Atlanta. Everybody in a whiteout except for the man of the hour, Peter Woods. Now, Peter, you're going to a team that has won 3 Super Bowls recently. Patrick Mahomes, Travis Kelce. What was your reaction as we pull up the video of the moment to being selected and reaching the NFL dream?
Man, I was just so thankful, man. To God be the glory. Just went back to all the moments, where I put in the work, and all the people, for helping me get here. And it's just an overwhelming feeling, something I worked for my entire life. And obviously I thought, let's go win a Super Bowl. So yeah, I'm excited about that.
Well, you've won at every level, so might as well keep going. Speaking of the people who've helped you get here, your mother and your sister, you had quite the surprise for them. Can you break down what happened right after you were selected?
Yeah, so I ended up gifting my mom and my sister Maserati SUVs for being my mother and my sister. You know, they've held me down. You know, they've been two women in this process who have really, you know, reached out and really checked on me. But forget the process, like, that's my mom and my sister, you know what I'm saying? And you know, they've really been there for me, you know, when the door was closed and the lights were off and people didn't really know what was going on, but they knew, you know what I'm saying? And you know, sometimes I don't always vocalize that. Sometimes I'm busy. And so I really felt like it was important to go big and make it hit home for them because they deserve it.
Well, your actions definitely spoke louder than words in that moment. And Mom, I know you were just in tears a moment ago. Your reaction not only to Peter being drafted, but then you got a new ride to celebrate in right after.
I did, and I was not expecting that at all. And I will tell you, there's what's the song that says for the 9 months I've carried you, and no charge at all. You know, your face is enough gift for me, but son, I appreciate you thinking that much of me. I really do. I love you. Thank you.
Peter, final word on this major moment. What do you want to say to anybody watching at Clemson or any of the people here who supported you the whole time?
Lee, I mean, thank you. I mean, not enough people I could sit here and thank. I mean, teachers, coaches, friends and family, man. Everybody had a say so in this in some form or fashion, man. So I'm just very appreciative, man. But most of all, man, just thank God. I mean, this moment would be nothing without him and my family here around me. I just know he has his hand on my life. So, you know, whatever the future holds, you know, we don't know. I know I'm gonna give him my best shot, and I know he's gonna do the same for me. And so, you know, I'm just super excited about this next opportunity, and I know Kansas City gonna get the best out of me. You know.
They sure will. Thanks so much for the time, Peter. All right, for Palmetto Sports in the ATL in front of a bunch of fans of Peter Woods, I'm Carmine Jamay. Just awesome to be there with the Woods family. We were the only local news station or any news station there, which was incredible. The connection that we built with the family, and they allowed us to be there. And Rick, it was quite the party. I test drove. Actually, I only revved the engine of some of those Maseratis, and then Peter Woods gave a couple of them to his family members. So just a great scene all the way around.
Well, first of all, Carmine, congratulations. That was a great story. Wonderful to see just the joy for the family, and then for him to give his mother and his sister each Maseratis. Wow. Talk about gratitude. And Carmine, I'm glad you didn't, I don't know, have an accident when you were revving up the engine of the Maserati, accidentally putting it into gear, crashing through the dealership, or maybe spilling some of an eggnog on the seat. So good job, Carmine, for staying out of trouble, and a great story.
Thank you. Yeah, we were joking before we came on that just because I sat in the Maserati, it went from brand new to pre-owned, and the sale value plummeted probably right away. So not a good investment for the Maserati dealership for us, but great investment for having Peter Woods there to celebrate. So let's go to Peter Woods' teammate, TJ Parker. We have some video of his watch party. And once again, we're the only local news station there, so that was awesome, developing a relationship with the Parker family. Now, he was right on the fringe of maybe being selected in the first round. That did not happen, so naturally, TJ was disappointed, but still, later today, very likely to be selected in the second round. A freshman All-American. He's an all-conference selection as an edge rusher, and we know those come at a premium in the NFL draft. So after not being selected, unfortunately, both of his parents spoke with our Palmetto sports anchor, Caroline Soro, about the optimism and the dream ready to become.
Kiana, you told me that TJ not being selected in the first round was going to light a fire in him. What did you mean by that?
Absolutely, because he's such a good football player, and, you know, whoever pick him, you know, they going to love him, and he just be ready to go.
And Tommy, what can you say just about that drive, about that fire that your son TJ has?
Dedicated. Dedication. Such a hard worker. He thrives in adversity. So this right here is just another notch under his belt. It's going to get him going. He's going to be fine. There's more rounds. There's more to it, so he's going to be fine.
And if anyone knows about being fine and resiliency, it's Tommy Parker, TJ's dad, a great military veteran of our country, and raising these kids in the exact right way, coming from Clemson to the NFL. And we're going back to TJ Parker's draft party. I'll be there later today to cover that exciting moment. And we have many more draft picks to come from Clemson the next couple days. Expected maybe 8 or 9 to be picked. 9 would tie the all-time record for Clemson in a single draft. And Rick, the Gamecocks, no first-round selections, but they're hopeful for a few coming today and tomorrow.
Right, and also here, folks in the Midlands, anxiously awaiting the selection of Antonio Williams, former Dutch Fork receiver and Clemson receiver. As far as the Gamecocks, right, no first-round picks, but we should see some Gamecocks come off the board in the second round. Defensive backs, Brandon Cisse and Jalen Kilgore. And so, you know, USC has a reputation of being defensive backs and that tradition should continue tonight. All right, that's a good opening segment here on Palmetto Sports Daily. We'll be right back with round number 2.
Welcome back into Palmetto Sports Daily. The Chanticleers still on the mission to head to Omaha this summer. The 9th-ranked Coastal Carolina team hosting Texas State tonight, and some big news for the Chants this weekend. They will get their star pitcher back, Cam Flukie. He's coming back from injury. He has not played in a few months at this point, but he is listed as the starter for Sunday, which could be a really big help for Coastal, considering 2 out of their 3 conference losses this year have happened in the series finale versus these Sun Belt teams, including just last week against Georgia State. They dropped that Sunday game, but they will start game 1 tonight against Texas State. If you're watching this, the game has already started. First pitch is at 6 o'clock, but a big weekend for Coastal as they look to stay on top of the Sun Belt standings. Also, another injury update. Trace Mazan, one of their star hitters on the team, which is something they've been struggling with the past few weeks, being at the plate. Trace Mazan will be a little bit longer before he comes back from injury. Here's head coach Kevin Schnall giving an update on him.
That's still to be determined. He's running around great, looks really good. Doing a lot of base running, taking ground balls and fly balls. He is hitting in the cage, hasn't hit on the field yet. I would say he's probably out this weekend, but all signs point that, you know, we should have him back for the last 3 weeks.
Yeah, and that will be a huge help for the Chants, especially. Like I said, they've been struggling on offense lately. It's been their downfall in the few losses they've had. They're coming off of back-to-back losses right now. One against Georgia State in that series finale, another against UNCW in their midweek battle. Rick, how about those Gamecocks?
Well, the Gamecocks, they're hosting Kentucky this weekend. Game 1 tonight at 7 o'clock. And if the Gamecocks can get 1 win this weekend, they will tie the same number of conference wins that they had last year, 6, and it would be even better if they could get another SEC series win. Now, one thing the Gamecocks do not want to do this weekend is to get into a track meet with the Wildcats. Kentucky leads the SEC in stolen bases, 100 stolen bases and 121 attempts. The Gamecocks last in that category, just 18 stolen bases and 28 attempts. So the Wildcats, they love to play small ball. They're going to have guys running around the bases all game long if you let them. Here's Monty Lee on the approach this weekend against UK.
You got to do a couple things when you're playing a team like a Kentucky, and they are unique to this league. They're not so unique to other leagues, but you know they rely on the pressure game. They're going to bunt, they're going to steal bases, they're going to try to create some chaos and some havoc when you're on pitching and defense. So we got to make sure we handle the bunt. We got to do a good job of holding runners at second base. We're going to have to pick some at first base to try to keep them conservative with their leads.
Yeah, so a key there when you're playing Kentucky, hey, keep the lead off batter each inning off base, because if you give up a freebie, allow them to get on base, then that's almost like giving up a double, because they'll do whatever it takes to advance the base runner. All right, that wraps up round 2. We're going to take another quick timeout and be back for round number 3.
Welcome back to Palmetto Sports Daily. It is rare when the NFL draft is going on that anything involving the league could be a bigger story than the draft, but it seems like that's what we've got going on with this whole shenanigans between Mike Vrabel, the Patriots head coach, and former Athletic reporter Dianna Russini. More pictures came out in the New York Post yesterday of them together at a New York bar from 6 years ago. Another picture came out from TMZ from a couple years ago of them at a casino. I believe that was in Mississippi. So it appears that the one-time pictures that they had from them in Arizona, it wasn't just a one-time thing. It appears to at least have been a multiple-time thing over the course of several years. Russini, if you didn't know already, she has left her job at the Athletic. Mike Vrabel, this is him talking last night before the draft, saying he's going to take off night 3 of the draft to be with his family and take care of some counseling issues along with his wife and presumably his kids. So just to keep track, night 1 and night 2 of the draft are too important, but night 3 of the draft, that's when it's okay to walk away and spend time with your family. So, guys, we're just going to go around the horn here. Thoughts on this? This is messy in several different ways. Tegan, we're going to start with you. Your thoughts on this whole debacle?
Yeah, I mean, the fact that this man is taking off night 3 to do this, when that information first came out, I had to go back and reread that Twitter post to be like, oh, so he's going to wait a couple of days because it's fine right now not to do it. But you know what? Night 3, we'll do it then. I mean, the whole thing is just crazy. I feel like every single time I go on Twitter, there's something new. There's the whole theory now floating around. And again, none of this is confirmed. It's just all the information that seems to be floating around on Twitter. But the fact that the former reporter's son's name is Michael, I know that's been a point of contention for a lot of people trying to figure out all the drama behind this. But, I mean, it's sad that it's become so public, but it's something that the public loves to eat up, Carmine.
Yeah, I know it is really sad, and especially with a journalist and a coach, so you're blurring the lines there. And it kind of upsets me because nobody's really actually saying fully what happened, and the journalists and the sports reporters aren't able to ask follow-up questions to Mike Vrabel. So he's just saying he's seeking counseling, like you said, and it's ridiculous to take that 3rd day off. You might as well just wait until after the draft if you're going to do that. So by hiding the truth and just saying you're seeking counseling and allowing these rumors to swirl and all this speculation based on the photos and past interviews between Russini and Vrabel, it just makes the situation, I think, much more difficult to manage, and they're not really telling the full truth, and journalism isn't allowed to take place. Strange, Kevin. I'm interested to get your take on it also before we hear from Rick, because do you think this could affect his job with the Patriots? Because it's not really it's obviously not a football problem, but it may be a problem with infidelity is what it seems like. I mean, you have to presume, but what do you think could happen to your coach?
Well, the only way it changes anything for him is if go ahead, Rick.
Carmine, you hit on some excellent points there about hiding the truth. Ever since this thing came out, it's like they have been hiding something. They said those pictures from the resort in Arizona, there were other people with them, but we just keep seeing pictures of just the 2 of them, in the hot tub, hugging, frolicking. And again, they made it seem like, this was just it was just by chance that we were together there, and somebody got some pictures of us. But then pictures from 6 years ago in a bar, and then someone, they zoomed in, and you could see his wedding ring there. So how long has this been going on? And with this distraction, you're right. They're not talking about football. They're talking about this relationship between 2 married people, and
right.
It takes away from what the team is doing, what the team is trying to accomplish. And you can't put up with that when you want to win Super Bowls and win titles. So something has to give. Kevin, let's hear from you. This is your team.
Look, here's the thing. We don't know that the friend groups weren't on all of these adventures with them. There could have been a friend group in New York. There could have been a friend group at the casino. And this friend group is apparently just very shy. And maybe they don't like being in pictures. And it's just
come on, Kevin. Come on.
Hey, you can't prove otherwise.
That's worse than
you can't prove anything.
That's worse than my egg dog defense.
I'm just there's no evidence that is not the case at this point. It's a viable thing. As far as Carmine, what you were saying about Vrabel's job, I mean, the only way this affects his job is if he decides that he doesn't want to do this anymore and he wants to step down for his family and take a step away from football. Otherwise, this barely cracks the top 5 of Patriots scandals we've had over the last 20 years. So there's no reason he's not going to stay in this job if that's what he wants to do personally.
Hey, the Kevin Bilodeau invisible friends theory.
I'm just saying they don't like to take pictures. That's completely viable. You guys can't prove it.
Oh, and hey, and so far, neither can Vrabel and Russini.
You can't convict
silence.
them for something that you can't prove.
Oh, hey, in the court of public opinion, you know how rough that can be. All right, we're going to take a break, try to find some invisible friends, and be right back to close out the show.
A fun note to send you into the weekend, we have Banana Ball at Floor Field right here in Greenville, home of the Greenville Drive, where once upon a time a young Jackie Bradley was starting in Major League Baseball, and now he's making his return to Floor Field, but now he's part of the Indianapolis Clowns in the Banana Ball League, where he was recently the first overall pick in the inaugural Banana Ball Draft. Jackie Bradley Jr.'s connection here is a deep one, a 2-time back-to-back national champ with Gamecocks baseball and a College World Series Most Outstanding Player, also a World Series champion with Kevin's Boston Red Sox, a team in much higher standing currently than another one in the New England area. But Rick, great to see your Gamecocks guy back in the upstate making his return.
Hey, great guy, Jackie Bradley Jr. I'm big fan of his, no matter what he's doing. Okay, so congratulations, Jackie. And that's going to do it for this week on Palmetto Sports Daily. Have a great weekend. We'll see you Monday.